actually seem to have made things worse. Maybe we lost that cylinder. Come on, come on, come on! Screw it, let's pull the head. Alright, I think the very next step is to pull the head. I pretty much got everything disconnected from the head, I think. Except for the exhaust and the intake, which I'm going to leave on there because that'll save me a step, or a few steps actually. And then I put this eye bolt in where the rockers go, so that should help me. Yeah, she's low. All right, first look at our valves directly. Okay. All right, there's cylinder 1, which is a good cylinder. Cylinder 2, cylinder 3, and that could be where we're losing compression. And that's something on the surface. It's not a damage to the piston. And then look at that. Huge damage to the head gasket. That's probably why we didn't have any compression. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, confirming the head gasket theory. Look at that. That's totally exhaust going between cylinders. You don't see that on the other ones, but on cylinder number 3, you're starting to see it right here. So that's exactly what was happening. Bad head gasket. So these valves might actually be good, but I'm still gonna replace them because I bought them already. All right, I'll show everyone how we do this. So Casimiro is holding a crowbar to the bottom of this valve. I bought all new valves and I checked that they're the right size before doing this, so I don't worry about scratching it. We good to go?
Yes.
Okay, and then we break the retainer.
Okay.
There we go, and we know because it bounced. It didn't resist to the crowbar, so that's gotta be the easiest way to do that without the proper tool. And then this thing is always a pain in the ass. This is definitely not the proper tool, but it does what it needs to do. Of course, we're doing this at night because every 10-minute task turned into a 3-hour adventure. There we go. See, it's broken free. All right, push. Oh, okay. Push. Okay, now those ones are a little more
Nice.
stuck. It's okay. And then I'm gonna reuse these retainers. So I'll put them in a bag with some Marble Mr. Oil overnight. And we just pull that out, and then I'm gonna leave the valves in place with their old valve seals. That way I don't have to worry about the seats or the guides, the valve guides from rusting overnight. All right, let's talk about where we're at. So I got the first 4 valves lapped. And the big ones lap really easy. You can see all the way around. We got a nice healthy bare metal surface right there where the valve is lapped. The exhaust is a little bit more difficult. You can see there's some crud in there. I'm probably going to go over that for a few more minutes. Now, cylinder number 2, you might be able to notice just by looking at this image, this is pretty smooth, and this is pretty eaten away in some areas, like it has rusted at some point. So this engine has probably been sitting with one of these 2 valves open, and I'm actually guessing it's the exhaust valve because this one looks pretty rough. And so I'm gonna probably gonna take 10 to 15 minutes to really lap that one properly. But I think at this point, I'm gonna actually insert the correct ones, or the ones that seem to have been lapped good, and then just keep going down the line, and then I'll really focus on the areas that need it most. All right, that's a pretty clean surface right there. I couldn't help myself, so I polished off those pistons. I'm trying to drain some of that water off before we do the head gasket because I don't want it to be a wet surface when we put that down. That looks pretty clean. The bottom of this is pretty clean. I'll go over that again with some acetone to clean that up. But pretty smooth and looks pretty dang straight. Yeah, look at that. So I think this is going to go together well. As long as I get good adhesion with the head gasket, we shouldn't blow it again, and we should have solid compression. I just measured with the calipers these pistons, so they're 3 5/8 diameter and 3.94 or 3 15/16 depth or stroke. So that's a 235.5 cubic inches. Future mark here, I don't know why I didn't catch this, but 3 5/8 is not the original cylinder bore of this engine. The original cylinder bore is 3 9/16. 3 5/8 is actually 60 thousandths over the original cylinder bore, which means this engine has definitely been rebuilt sometime in the last 65 years, and the new displacement is 243.7 cubic inches. So that's pretty badass. You can see there where it was cut through and it was going through there. That's why we were losing the number 3 cylinder. Man, it should be a healthy engine when we're done with it. All right, let's get this sucker in. 95 foot-pounds. Alright, that'll do it. It's important to be careful when reinserting the push rods because when these are seated in the lifters, they can actually pull the lifters up and out of their guides, as I've done with these two here. Now, unfortunately, to put the lifters back in position, I have to take this whole plate off the side, which I wasn't planning on doing. But the truth is, this may actually be a blessing in disguise, because I was looking up the numbers for this engine, and I found that it was manufactured on July 28th, 1958, and it was made for a standard Chevrolet passenger car with a 2-speed automatic power glide. Now, why does that matter? Well, because when paired with the power glide transmission, Chevy put a different cam in the 235, and they put hydraulic lifters in it. Ayo, and look at that. Hydraulic lifters. And the reason that matters is because when you tighten down the lifters, the valve clearance is completely different. It's a completely different procedure to do the valve lash. So let's reinsert those. Awesome. We got ourselves some hydraulic lifters. Alright. Alright, here we go. Alright, I think I got pretty much everything back together on this engine, just missing the valve cover and the spark plugs. So I'm going to crank it over and we're going to get some oil pumping through here. And I got the spark plugs out, so don't have to worry about it firing. The big thing I got to do is do the valve lash. So now that we know it's a hydraulic lifters, it's going to be a fun little project. Chevrolet recommends doing it while the engine is running, which is interesting. So we might give that a shot. It wouldn't be a C10 video without some weird obscure problem arising, and this one is we got no electricity whatsoever. Always make sure to reconnect the ground. Alright, moment of truth, trying to see if this thing starts. Oh, that's so much better. I think the little bit of smoke you're seeing here is just some like grease burning off of the exhaust. All the solvents and stuff I used on that. So much smoother. The new fans blowing air. Hell yeah. .45 psi, and all 6 cylinders have good compression, so mission success. Now I don't know why we're not getting the same compression we were before on the good cylinders. We went from 167 was our highest reading to now 155 is our highest reading. That could just be because perhaps we have a bigger head gasket, or it could be a sign that perhaps I didn't spend enough time lapping the valves. Not quite sure. But the important part is that all 6 are within 10% of each other, so we got a good healthy engine here. I went ahead and bought some of these E3 plugs. These are kind of cool because they got 3 prongs instead of just the one, and supposed to improve performance by maybe 1 to 2%. I've never tried these before, so I figured it's worth a shot. Alrighty, come to a complete stop. Super happy with what we did here today. We doubled the horsepower of this engine, which means we can now daily drive it and we don't have to worry about it being so gutless all the time. Now, we're definitely going to want more horsepower in the future, but for now I can focus on other things. Peace.